So I've just checked on Wikipedia that the movement control order in Malaysia has been extended till August 31st. And how convenient is the Malaysia's National Independence Day. But after the 9th of June, it will be a different kind of movement control. It will be called the recovery movement control. Well, I'm not really sure how to explain this, so I'm just going to show you me reading the news that I've read yesterday. So, I woke up a few minutes ago, and I'm still having headaches. I'm not really sure why, but I guess it's because of the deterioration of my health, I guess. So I found this news. I've double confirmed that I found this news. Nobody shared it. I just found this by accident. So government declares recovery MCO from June 10th by Nicholas Chang, Malaysian, obviously. So this is the picture of our Prime Minister. I'm just going to skip that and go to the news. So this news is published by Free Malaysia today. I'm not sure if I'm going to get any copyright strike because of showing their their logo, but because I have no way to hide that, I have no choice. So yeah. Anyway, back to the news, I guess. Oh, anyway, if you don't want to listen to what I'm talking about, just scroll until you see the next news, next lines of the news, and just continue to do so while I mumble the whole way, because I'm going to talk a lot of my mind. It's nothing political, just what I think. Okay, so here it goes. Putrajaya, Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin announced today announced, okay, it's better in a sentence if he had just put announced today, because it seems like a directly translated from Chinese, which whatever. Okay, whatever. That the conditional movement control, which is phase 2, will be replaced by a recovery MCO to run from June 10th to August 31st. And how convenient, because that's the Malaysia's National Independence Day. The CMCO, meanwhile, will end as soon as scheduled on 9 June. Hooray. But the movement control order is still around. It's just that fewer restrictions, like here. Restrictions on public activities first implemented under the movement control order, or MCO, as if you don't know, enforced on March 18th to curb the spread of, I'm not going to use that word, I'm just going to use C virus. Okay. Speaking in a national address here, Prime Minister, I'm not going to say his name because it's really hard to pronounce, said there would be fewer restriction on daily activities during the recovery MCO period, although standard operating procedures SOP will continue. Would. Now, I'm not really sure about using the word would, because would is kind of like a a yes and no thing. Like if you say will, it's a yes, it will. But if you say would, like for example, asking, will he do it? He would. Like yeah, maybe yes, maybe no. Well, mostly with a condition, so sure. He said interstate travel would be allowed on from June 10 onwards, except for areas under enhanced MCO. Will be allowed, except whatever. It doesn't matter. A lot of native English speakers are starting to understand our way of speaking slowly, so it doesn't really matter how good we have to be in textbooks. So mm, mm. Continue. So those who want to visit family in other states will be allowed to do so. That is in other state. Okay, so let me try to explain this. Interstate is areas within a state. It's not a whole country. You know, in a country travel, then okay, I would understand you. But interstate travel has been allowed, I guess, since CMCO was announced. So if you want to travel outside the state, it's called travel between states or cross-state travels. Meaning you're crossing a state to another state. You know, understand? Because when I first read this, I had a little headache on what was the whole thing. I actually got confused for a few seconds before I wrapped my head back around and realized, oh, okay, that's what he meant. Uh, Prime Minister meant, I think. Well, I wasn't there, so I wasn't watching the news live, so I don't really know what they were talking about. I just got all my information here. Okay, so let's continue. My advice is just to take care of personal hygiene in public places and avoid crowded areas while you are in your hometown. He added. A lot of people are not in their hometown currently. Like you could have just used, your current locations, your current areas, or wherever you are. But again, I wasn't, watching the news live, so I'm not really sure. Doesn't matter to me. Just reading the news here now. Uh, okay. He also said nearly all social activities, including religious activities and those in education and business sectors, would be reopened in stages. Okay. Commercial activities not held on business premises will now be allowed. Similarly, museum will be allowed to reopen, and activities like indoors basking. I'm not a native English speaker, so I'm not really sure what basking means. Recreational fishing activities, including commercial fisheries and filming, will be allowed to resume. Yay! But there's still no news except for up north, and I don't really like to travel up north because it's far. I usually just take films around Johor, and honestly, there's not much going on around here. So there will be upcoming films, but there's no confirmation yet, and I usually don't announce what I'm doing because there's kind of like a agreement form that we have to sign whenever we're doing a film. So we they have us legally bound not to spill any secrets. So yeah, let's continue. In terms of sports activities such as training and non-contact sports like bowling, badminton, archery, and shooting will be allowed, along with outdoor group sports like kayaking and cycling convoys. Okay, however, competitive sports and games that involve gatherings of supporters, such as in stadiums and public pools, are still barred. Contact sports such as rugby, wrestling, boxing, football, basketball, and hockey also remain off limits. Okay. Local tourism activities will be allowed, although the country's border will remain closed. That means tourists are allowed to come in, but nobody in this country are allowed to go out. And also not good for me because I do, you know, I do. I'm a extra actors usually, and I usually would like acting. I usually take student films from Singapore, even though it's not always, but most of the times would be there because student films, right? And I have to travel there since there's no, you know, performing arts academy in Johor, so I have to go to Singapore to because they have college dedicated for film. So you understand what I mean. Don't really have to explain that much, right? So okay, let's continue. Religious activities such as activities for Hari Raya Aidileha. Sorry if I pronounced that word wrong because I'm not really sure about how to pronounce that word. So I'm just going to skip that. And if you know, great. Sorry. I will be allowed subject to SOP from Jakim. However, permission for mosques and other places of worship to accommodate more worshippers is still under consideration with an announcement expected soon. Yeah, I don't think that includes Taoist temples. I'm a Taoist, so I should know. We don't usually go to temples unless, yeah, but in a regular basis, we don't really go to temples. We just pray at home because there's an altar. More and less, there's always an altar at home. So altar. Mm. Let's continue. Prime Minister, not going to pronounce his name because it's really hard again, also said schools would reopen in the stages throughout the recovery MCO period, according to advice from the Education Ministry. It's really a mouthful. It's okay. However, premises such as pubs, nightclubs, entertainment outlets, reflexology, and karate, karaoke center will not be allowed to reopen. Okay. I don't go to places like this, so I'm okay with all of this. But if you are, I'm so sorry, and I apologize that you have to go through this. Okay, so uh, similarly, okay, kanduris, open houses, and other activities involving crowds will not be allowed. Okay, yeah. More details on the sector and activities that will be allowed, that and that will still be prohibited can be found on the website of the National Security Council, so NSC. It's in there. If you want to go search for it, by all means, do it. It'll give you more explanation on what this is, how it's going to be uh, than watching this video, of course. But I'm just going to finish this up. So because I've said I'm going to finish the whole news, and I bet it's been 10-20 minutes now. Prime Minister again said the RMCO will be implemented based on 7 strategies: strengthening of public health law and enforcement, strengthening of border control, full reopening of economic sectors, culturalism, culturalization. Okay, so sorry, culturalization of new norms, empowerment and community responsibilities, and protection of high-risk groups. Means terrorist groups or some people that are infected, zombies. Let's continue. Okay, since the MCO began almost 3 months ago, the government has implemented various strategies and steps to curb the spread of C virus. Many restrictions and limitations were imposed on you, me, as if he wasn't. Yeah, doesn't matter. But I realized that the government cannot control your lives forever to curb the virus from spreading. I know you want life to go back to normal. Now is the time for the government to give more leeway to you on the condition that you take the responsibility seriously to practice the new norms, mean normal, if you don't know, and comply with all SOPs from the government. This means that the responsibility of ensuring the C virus remains under control is in your hands. That means pointing fingers and pushing all responsibilities away. Mhm. It's a great strategy and tactics. So what? Who am I to know, right? Who am I to know? He said community and NGO leaders, non-government organization leaders, plays a key role in ensuring SOPs are complied with the communities. Soaps. Uh, in the community, and employers must ensure that workers comply with soaps in the workplace, in their workplace, whatever. He warned that Putrajaya will not hesitate to implement a lockdown in areas that show a sudden spike in cases, reminding the people to be disciplined. If you can continue to be disciplined, I believe the spread of this virus will remain under control and we can enter the normalization phase after National Independence Day of Malaysia, until the time when a vaccine for the virus is found. Virus vaccine. Okay, so that's it for the article. I'm not going to continue after the Penang stuff because after scrolling down even further, I realized that the news has add up more, and it'll take probably about an hour just to finish the whole article. So I've showed you where the site that produced the article, so you can go check it out by yourself if you want to. And yeah, that's about it. And I've just had dinner, so you can imagine how long and there's a lot of stuff happened between me recording this segment and the previous segment. So anyway, that's about it for today, for this video too, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. So yeah, I'm just going to end this here. You stay safe, try to be safe, and of course my hair is as messy as always. Oh, and peace.